welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. Four reviews up this week. The first of which is Monster Jam Steel Titans 2. So, if you recall, a few years ago we reviewed the first one of these. That is to say, the Galax handled the Switch version of this. Um,
Uh-huh.
and the sequel here, we got a couple of PC codes. So, um, Alex, can you back away a bit from your microphone?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Um, anyway, but yeah, so there isn't going to be a ton of continuity between reviews here, um, since basically different reviewers handled the different releases. That being said, I can tell you the most pronounced change between versions or games is this one incorporates an open world. Um,
And
in
that
fact,
caused a lot of problems for me.
yeah. Like honestly, it ran okay on my machine, at least on the lower settings. I got the detail, though sometimes the frame rate was slideshowy because if nothing else, this game is maybe not top end graphic smashing amazing or anything, but for what it's going for, it looked really good. Um, I'm I'm going to credit some of that with going with open world environments because not surprisingly, the stadium stuff looks well like a mud filled stadium does. It's like
Because that's where you do monster truck stuff.
yes, that's where the it's a bit weird to say this, where the authentic monster truck stuff is taking place in. The open world is definitely more video gamey.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of monster truck people would love to be able to monster truck out in the open and stuff, but I'm pretty sure um,
well,
whoever is responsible for terrain management in the area that you're monster trucking in the wild would take issue with that.
well,
Those tires aren't just for show.
it's also from I may be misunderstanding this because um, referring back to the first review, we're not connoisseurs of monster trucks or monster jam. This is very alien stuff to us, but
I
you know,
vaguely know what Gravedigger is, and that's about it.
and Bigfoot and I've seen monster truck shit advertised on the television, and I know that Truckosaurus is an actual thing, which surprised me. I got introduced to that via The Simpsons, and when I saw the actual thing being advertised on a monster truck ad, I'm like, oh god, that's real. Like,
Hey, never make up a joke when there's a perfectly good one in real life.
apparently, like, and you can get the rights to it. But anyway, monster trucks and monster jam is a very specific thing that you go to a stadium to see, or an arena like venue. Whereas the open world stuff, that is what we call off-roading.
Yeah, and if you do that in the wrong place, you will get in trouble because you will completely destroy whatever the grass and trees and shit are.
Or you'll die.
Yeah. Also,
That's also possible.
yeah. Also, you don't need monster trucks to go off-roading.
Nope.
But it's very much structured like off-roading in that there's a lot of fucking mountainous terrain, and it can be a hell of a thing to get over. And honestly, this is where I ran into the thing that really kind of killed the game for me, and that is the vehicles are rather easy to tip over. Not sure how realistic that is, but um, it's really like just basic transportation. Going from point A to point B. There were times I would just get flipped over, and um, worth noting that there are two ways that you can excuse me, rectify this. There's the reset button, and there's the way you're encouraged to do in the tutorial, and that is to basically use your monster truck wheels to flip yourself up
by spinning them a certain way.
And then
it looks basically there is an automatic get up button, but the game kind of shames you for doing so a little bit.
Well, it's a combo breaker. So depending on what you're doing, that can be really bad, because there are, the structure of the actual, not game part of the game, but the not story mode. I can't call it a Grand Prix mode because it's not. It's kind of structured like a Mario Kart Grand Prix mode, but it's not a series of races. It's a series of events strung together, like usually 3, and they can differ wildly. There is a pronounced difference between the waypoint or head-to-head, which is racing in various sorts, and doing the tricks, like the trick freestyle or the time destruction events, which are like much more of what you think of when in terms of monster trucks. Because when you think of monster trucks, or at least the average person, it's like, at least I'm assuming this is the view. You're not thinking of actual racing. Sure, that happens, but when you go to the monster trucks, you want to see them jump over shit. You want to see them crush stuff. That's usually the allure with big fucking tires. At least, once again, this is the stuff that I have seen advertised on the television. Not so much the racing. I'm going to assume that there's probably monster truck racing. I've never been. I have never had an interest in going to a monster jam or monster truck thing, and I still don't, quite honestly. Even though it does appear that Monster Jam is trying to broaden its horizons, because, I don't know, they got toy trucks now. Like, I've seen, like, toys for kids bearing Monster Jam advertised on the TV as well. So make of that what you will. Anyway, the events I found to be a mixed bag. Some were fun. Like, I actually like the waypoint racing, where you're actually in the open world environments, because you're not in a dull ass arena driving around in an oval. Like, yeah, I leave the NASCAR love to Kevin. That kind of racing never interested me either, because, yeah, you're just going around in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's just other forms of racing, while not completely inaccessible here, are much harder. You have to seek to find them. Like Formula One racing, good luck. Anyway, and some of it was like the AI is really fucking dodgy. Oh god, the one that made me just end it was the trick. No, it was the destruction event, because all the fucking AI opponents scored like hundreds of thousands of points. And I'm like, here I am at like 80 to 100,000. Like, yeah, there's some AI is a cheating bastard in this game. Though I will note, even if you like finish poorly in one event, you can do well in others to win the event structure. I seriously don't know what to call these. And it's like you also want to shoot for a gold on these, because you will get a unique truck that is based off of a real truck. Not the only way to unlock these. The open world segments do have a bit of Diddy Kong racing going on there, in the sense that there's hidden shit. In this case, there are some hidden collectibles in each segment of the world, and if you find all of those in a given area, you will unlock another unique monster truck. And yeah, I think that's the basic framework here. Yeah, this is a bit of a hard one for us to review because we're not the audience for this, mostly. And like I said, I really do get the sense that you have to be into this shit to really get the most out of it. Because, I cared about getting better monster trucks. I didn't care about which monster truck I got. And the actual, like, the events portion, yeah, that didn't really interest me either. Oh, also, um, if the developers of this game do listen to this review, if you do a third one of these, don't have a fucking half an hour tutorial that you can't skip. I'm sorry, it's not goddamn 2005 anymore. Like, I should not be going through basic fucking tutorial shit. Like I've never picked up a controller before. Like, if you want to have a tutorial, fine. You put that in the tutorial section of a menu. You don't fucking browbeat the player with unskippable shit and, like going basic almost the Nintendo route with this one in its instructions. Like, it's not the worst. The worst is, like, say 2009, like Super Mario Galaxy 2, and like when not only would they stop the fucking gameplay to explain what you're doing, they'd show you a fucking video. Like, this actually fucking happened.
Yes,
You know,
yes, it did.
yeah,
Yep.
it's like, Nintendo was so worried that, their new casual audience wouldn't be able to understand such a complex game like fucking Mario, a game that's all ages, beloved by children, so children can play it.
But Adam, there are choices now besides run right.
True, but I'm just saying that, the tutorial here wasn't that level, but it was definitely in the ballpark. Oh God. So yeah, don't do that again.
Also work on your optimization for the love of God.
Right, but that's kind of a THQ Nordic issue.
Yeah.
Because the optimization on SpongeBob SquarePants and Destroy All Humans wasn't great either.
Mm.
Though honestly, I think the optimization was better here than in Destroy All Humans.
Well, except the whole thing of the best chance of best time me loading the open world, I was falling through the infinite void.
True. I'm just saying that, THQ Nordic is known as a, by their own admission, fortunately or unfortunately, we kind of lost that episode with them on the show. Like, I say fortunately because one of the people who, the person we interviewed was one of the people implicated in the 8chan scandal. So,
Hooray!
but they see themselves as a major mini. Granted, they're part of a much bigger concern now. Point is, they're a mid-range publisher, and it's like the pricing on this reflects this, because uh, well, here's the basic price of Monster Jam Steel Titans 2. It's $30, like, which is a budget release, which is actually kind of the budget release of a budget release these days. That's not getting into the, AAA games are moving towards the $70 range on what is now the current gen systems. This is more what's considered to be budget for major releases is $40 versus $60. This is $30, so that's a step down from that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, honestly, that's why I'm not surprised that the optimization is not up to snuff here. But on the other hand, seeing what the game is, just overall is actually fairly impressive. Like there's a lot of the landscape is very lush. There's a lot of effects going on, which once again is why the frame rate can tank depending on your computer. There's actually a lot going on graphically in the open world stuff. The stadium stuff is, once again, it's brown, and that is a reflection of the real life.
Yes, but much of the environment in this game is brown because it's made out of mud, because that's where mud and dirt, because that's where you do Monster Truck.
Mm-hmm. And if you want,
and trust me, if you start with a green field, it's gonna be brown.
That's
fast.
That's actually replicated in this game because you will leave tire marks all around the fucking environment. They'll go away if you once you like leave the area and stuff like that. But the environment does track your tracks. In the lower settings, which is fairly impressive. Like I said, there's actually quite a lot going on with this game for such a budget release. It's just at the end of the day, this game was fine. It's fine outside of the optimization and load time issues we were having with it. By the way, this also has online multiplayer, but we sadly could not get a chance to do that because
again, falling through the infinite void and all.
Yeah, one of the people who had a code literally could not make the game work. So
yeah. Also, I probably wouldn't recommend the Switch version of this game. That has nothing to do with, say, graphics, and more everything to do with the fact that that system lacks analog triggers. Like,
or as people in car games call them, throttle
and brake. You can control the amount of throttle and brake you can do with analog triggers. And I don't know why Nintendo refuses to understand why analog triggers are a thing. They know what they are because they had them on the fucking GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
So, and ever since then, they're like, digital triggers are fine. Like, sure, until you get to a fucking car game. Like, and then you're gonna want analog triggers because especially if they're on the side of realism. I think that might be the problem. Like, it's not so much of an issue when you're playing a Mario Kart game and you can just power slide into things, but you actually do need a degree of precision in your driving and braking to do a power slide in a realistic setting. So, worth keeping in mind here because you're gonna want the analog triggers. Let's just say it. And yeah, it's this game is packing a whole bunch of content. And once again, it's got a whole bunch of Monster Jam stuff in it.
A lot of what we assume is fan service, but don't know because we're not fans.
Well, I mean, they're advertising stuff like, oh, hey, it's got Gravedigger and other other trucks like Higher Education and Sparkle Smash. I mean, these are two trucks that are being listed here on the website. Like I said, we're not the best people to evaluate the monster truck accuracy. So,
yes.
So just keep that in mind. Anyway, in terms of pricing, base pricing is fine, $30. That being said, there is a whole bunch of sorry. I'm looking at a DLC bundle, but that's apparently for the previous. Yeah, that's for the previous game. because the bundle here is for like all of the Monster Jam. That would explain it. Because right now there's only one DLC pack for this one, and that is the Inverse Truck Pack, which is clocking in at $5.
Inverse how?
The truck pack includes 4 Monster Jam trucks based on the popular Spin Master Inverse Truck series. I don't know. Maybe I'm guessing the color scheme here, because they got white tires and one of them has red. I don't know what this is. Like, once again, and I'm thinking this is a very specific thing, because it's apparently tied to those monster truck toys I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is something I don't know what is exactly. So I don't know if this is worth it. Like, maybe. This is the problem with going outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You're not necessarily going to be the most articulate.
Yes. It
Reviewing
seems
he'll-
good to an outside observer, but for all I know, they completely used the wrong font for the name written on the one truck that has the friggin' zombie arm stuck to its hood.
Well, yeah, that, and you just get confused. And then there's just confusing shit like the Bakugan Dragonoid truck crossover.
The fuck?
Monster Jam had a crossover with Bakugan.
Oh god.
You know what? Sure.
Me and Adam must be the only ones who remember
I
that
assume
thing.
that's the one that we actually see here with the horn and the wings on the side. I'd be more impressed if the truck could actually roll up into a ball. But I understand that that's too much to ask.
Perhaps. And yeah.
Plus, you need a really freaking huge magnet to make it unpop.
Yeah. And
I think
yes,
that's what the motor is for.
yeah. Steam has a Monster Jam Power Out bundle, which is all of the Monster Jam, both Monster Jam games combined with all of the DLC, and it's a sprightly $49.83. I'm gonna say, if you are into this and you haven't gotten any of the Monster Jam yet, go for this, because that's a damn good price for 2 games and all the DLC. Like, that's still not hitting the $60 AAA price point. For us, yeah, if we weren't reviewing these things, we probably would never have touched them. Unless they came in like, oh, hey, this is $5. Why not?
Yeah. Not for quality reasons, just for
Yeah.
familiarity reasons.
We know next to nothing about this IP.
Yeah. It's like none of us are really into Monster Jam. It's just, we get THQ Nordic games on the regular, and this is going to play out interesting later on when they release their football manager. Like, I'm probably going to fob that off to one of you guys. Anyway, be that as in our estimation, this is fine. Just fine, but, it's definitely got that licensed game thing where if you're not into the license, you're probably not going to be as engaged. So that'll be about it about Monster Jam Steel Titans 2 here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be reviewing Blastful.